All right. So the topic we're going to cover today is travel joy. If you are watching this on the recording, we've talked about a couple of things we want to make sure that get covered while we're doing this. So hopefully this will give you a rundown. This is how I run my travel joy. Not all people run travel joy the same. And I might actually have to stop my screen share in order to sign in now that I'm thinking, oh, it let me. Okay. That is one thing to keep in mind is if you're on a call with a client and you're on Travel Joy and showing anything screen share, it will likely not let you screen share certain things for privacy purposes. Travel Joy has that built in, which is a fabulous privacy feature. They take things very, very serious. And so recognizing the filter with a zoom and all of those pieces are great. Okay. So when we come into Travel Joy, the first thing that, well, I guess just for as a feeler, will you tell me in the chat how are if you are using Travel Joy so far? Have you used it? You're just getting there, or you haven't used it at all? Put it in the chat for me. Twice. Okay. Okay, not necessarily efficiently. I think it really is going to be a matter of everybody kind of finding their own groove with it. And not everybody's jumped into using it because it's really going to be about where you are with your processes because it is an added expense, right? So not everybody is using Travel Joy yet. I would highly recommend the investment if you are working with anybody who is outside of your immediate family. Even getting to the point of having a friend or a distant friend, it just feels more secure, as well as it really is a great feature of what it can do. So the first thing you would do when you come in and you're going to start working with a client is create the client. So you need to come in, and there are three things we can do. We can create a trip, we can create a group, and we can create a client. The group feature is great. I've only used it one time. It helps with organization of all of the things, especially if we're going to have multiple people paying, multiple people traveling together. You do not have to create a trip in order to manage groups. You could just create everybody as an individual client, treat every room as its own package. All of that works well like that. So the first thing you want to do is create your client. So I'm actually going to go through the process and create one for myself. Just so that we can see how everything works. And then I'm actually going to create an invoice for myself as well. And I don't know if I've used this email address in here yet or not. You do need to know that an email address is required in order for you to add them into as a client. It's how all of the communication will happen through here. You can add a phone number, not necessary, but you can if you want to, but the email address is very important. Okay, so I already used this one. So let me use, I've already created all of my accounts. I'll use my husband. Hopefully he doesn't have one. There we go. Okay. Also, you'll notice that when I was creating that client over on that left-hand side, I can go back in there and show you. There are a lot of things that you can do. Track relationships, important dates. Like if you get their birthdays, maybe they're going on a cruise. This is a great place you could put this. You could also put all of this information in HubSpot. So it's not necessary to put these things in Travel Joy, but the usability is there for you if you need it, especially if you're doing things like cruising. Passport information would be something that I wouldn't necessarily put their actual passport numbers in. That's not something that we necessarily manage because usually they're going to be checking themselves in with all of that. But in order to book a cruise, you do have to have birthdays for everybody and typically addresses for everybody. And so there are some places you could gather that information. If they have multiple trips, you can also get in and manage that you have multiple trips associated with this individual client. So now I have created my client. I'm going to create my client's trip. And one of you had asked about using pictures. You can absolutely change the pictures. So right here, I'm going to choose which picture I want. I actually put this Disneyland header in because there was not a great picture for Disneyland. So I just went to pictures and found a picture of Disneyland, dropped it in. So if I wanted to use a Disneyland picture, I can use that as a header so that it looks like it's Disneyland, not Disney World, to differentiate. Anytime I have Disney World though, Epcot's right here and available for you. And so I just use that one. You could change it and grab yourself a picture of the castle or whatever you want to do, but everybody has access to this Epcot ball. So that's the one that I typically use for that one. If you're using one that is like cruises or all inclusives, there's really great pictures. There's no reason for you to need to spend time trying to recreate the will, but I would recommend adding the Disneyland picture. And if you decide you want to add this, I'm happy to share this picture with you and you can add it to your photos. So I'm going to go ahead and do Disney World. And then you have to choose which person you're going to connect it to. So I already am in here as this. I'm going to put it to the one that I just created. You want to name the trip. You can choose how you're going to do these conventions, but what I always do is the family name, not the first person's name. So Smedley's Disney World trip, May 2024. Enough information to differentiate. We don't, I would encourage you to think big, like this is going to be a repeat client. And so just starting from the fresh start, give yourself the ability to manage trips as if you're going to have more than one trip. So give yourself enough information that we're not just thinking small, where I'm only going to have this one trip and not need to put anything else. So I always do the family name, where they're going, and the month and year that they're traveling. And then that gives you leeway if you need to do another one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create the trip. Now it's going to bring me to my trip board, and I need to move my windows. So I am inside of my trip. I know that I'm inside of my trip because the client's name's right here, the trip's right here, and this is where the feed about what's happening with the trip is going to happen. So what I want to do is create an itinerary for the trip. So I'm going to come in. Oh, I'm actually not going to do an itinerary. I'm going to do an invoice because the invoice is the one that's going to allow them to send me the payments at any time that they want. So I'm going to create an invoice. It's the one that said supplier. And I'm going to just start adding to this. So because I want this to be a package, I'm going to put package as the item. Remember, this is a high level item that I'm thinking. I don't want to put details here. I just want to describe what it is. So I could put additional, like if they weren't doing a package, I could just say tickets. I could say room only, whatever is a very broad description of what we're going to describe. And then the description is where we're going to add it. So within my package, I'm going to say 4 nights at, I'm going to dream big and say Grand Floridian because that is one of only 2 resorts I will have left to stay at. So one day I'll get there. 4 nights at the Grand Floridian. And I'm going to hit enter. 3-day park hopper memory maker. And actually right here, I'm going to say 3-day park hopper, and I'm going to say 2 adults, 3 children. You can put whatever you want in here. It does not matter what you put in here. It's just, this is the place where it's going to be showing them what it is. If you have a confirmation number, you could put this here as well. You could just say confirmation number 3333333, whatever it is. I'm going to go ahead and delete these other items. Sorry, I have to keep moving my things. So if you create something and you need to delete it, just delete it. It's easy peasy. Also, you can edit at any time. Now, this is where I'm going to keep this as a quantity of 1, and I'm going to put my price here as the total price for my package. If this is a 4-night hotel reservation with 3-day park hoppers and memory maker, how much would you guess? Anybody willing to unmute and guess what they think that this package would be? For, I didn't put a date here. I said it was May 2024.
13,000.
13,000. Ooh, we must be saying club level. Love that.
Well, I was going to book my cousin who I'm waiting on my deposit for.
Love
It's
that.
just him and his husband, and it's like 10,000 for just them two.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. I'm
And
going
I'm like,
to.
what?
That's what I was saying with that Disney cruise client that I was working with is the one grandpa's paying for it, and it was racking up and racking up and racking up, and he's just like, okay. And I'm like, he's like, I'm
Oh
gonna pay
my
it off in
goodness.
full. Like, I want to be that people. What do I do? So yeah, it's gonna be a lot. It's probably going to be 10 grand plus for 4 nights of the Grand Floridian for a family of 5. It's going to be a lot of money, especially because well, depending on where the time frame falls, but knowing that this is could be a busy travel week. So I'm going to put about $10,536. Oh, why did it put my, there we go. You're going to get this invoice or the total from your confirmation email or directly from your checkout in DTA. Make sure this is not a thing for Disney World, but it is a thing for cruise lines. Always make sure that you are getting the full total, not the total that does not include your commission. Through cruise lines, sometimes they will tell you that the total is what it is, and then it will say commission is a separate thing to then give a gross amount versus the net amount and all of the different pieces. Make sure you get the full total, scroll to the very bottom and see the actual number, because there have been people who have sent out an invoice to somebody and then they think they're paying it off. And then they go back and it says that, oh, they haven't paid the commission portion. And then Disney or whoever the company is does not have the commission to pay back to you. And so we don't have a way to charge them that commission unless we actually pay the full amount. So keep that in mind, especially for cruises. That's where the big problem would come. Okay. You could also add a different item. For instance, I have a client who's at Disney right now, and they had 4 different rooms for 4 different families, and the grandma and grandpa were paying for all of it. And so I would end up adding an item to one invoice because the grandma and grandpa were paying for everything. And so I would just add a second item and say package number 2, package number 3, or however you want to organize that. You do not have to create a new invoice for every single room if one person is the person providing the payment information. Okay. What's beautiful about that, and actually maybe that's a good thing to go through just since we're doing this. I won't put the full details, but I can do package 2. And we'll say that this one is 3,000. They're putting their kids at All-Star Sports. How dare they? I actually am really, we stayed at All-Star Sports recently, and I'm really happy with their updates. So I can't talk trash on All-Star Sports. Disney's doing a good job with updates. So notice that my total amount here is showing the total automatically. You don't have to compensate for the different pieces. So this is now taken care of. That's it so far. Anyone have questions on what I've done so far? Okay.
If we already have somebody, oh, sorry. If
No.
we already have like started invoicing somebody or not invoicing, they've just been paying and you have their credit card information saved on here. Can I start the invoice process?
You absolutely could. Yeah. You definitely could.
So
and I'm going to show you.
Would you put like their new okay, sorry.
I would still create it as if it was the beginning, but then you're going to put the deposit and the payments as what's already been paid so that they can see a history of what's happening. And you can even put what days those payments happened. So it works really, really well. So down here,
sorry.
you have 2 options. No, don't be sorry at all. I love when we're asking questions, especially in the moment, because it helps us think through where we're going. So we have 2 options when we're creating this invoice for our clients, if they want to pay in full, or do they want to do a deposit and a final payment. I would say 99% of the time, we're going to be doing deposit and final payment. Typically, this is going to say $200 due within 3 days. And then you're going to set your final payment as when it really is. However, I can't say deposit is 200 because notice up here, I said I have 2 packages. And so in that case, we're going to say the deposit is 400. And then my final due date, my set your deposit date, set your final due date. And then similar, you can do your invoice name. I would just typically come up here and grab this and add that over. And then I'm missing part of my screen because I'm struggling, or I'm covering it with pictures. And then click next. Save and review email. So my husband's going to come and say, what did you do? He's going to get this email and think I booked a $13,000 Disney World trip. Okay. This is automatically going to put your invoice. You can see that I change what mine says depending on what it is. I will always add to this subject line. So I will say your Disney World invoice. And then when I'm going to send follow-up emails, I will say like your updated Disney World invoice so that they know that this is no longer the first one. So just add a little word in here to make it custom. You can actually set up the body to be whatever you'd like. I don't necessarily change it because I'm going to update it every time for my client anyway. So it's saying I put together your invoice. Here's the things that you can do. If you have not already set up your signature, please set yourself up a signature because that's going to show up at the bottom of your invoice when it gets sent every time, just as a reminder that it's coming from you. So my signature, you can customize letters, sizing, all of those things. And then I'm just going to send it. Now this is going to get, see, it says it's a successfully scheduled invoice. And now my husband just got my invoice showing how much I owe. So when I go in, I can't actually pay a payment on it because it verifies when they're putting their information in. It's checking, is that credit card number a valid credit card number? It's checking, does the zip code that they're telling you match with it's essentially checking that the payment method is going to be a valid payment method before it comes back to you. So I can't make a payment on it, but I do have the ability to mark that a payment has been made. So I'm back now pretending that my husband or this client did send me an email or a payment on this for their deposit. What's going to happen, you'll notice right here, it's showing here's this individual trip, my client. It's saying that the client is who is the holder of this right now, meaning I've done everything I need to do. It's in the client's court. So that's what you're looking for in here, is you're looking for ones that say me. This Annalisa Martinez just sent me an email today saying that she wanted to make a payment. I have payments to get made, and you'll send it back to them if there is. This one, the Davis family, is saying me. There's really nothing more for me to do because they paid in full, so I didn't need to send it back to them. That's why it's still saying me. But keeping in mind and what's happening with that. So when they email you and tell you that they want to make a payment, you can come back in and go right back into this invoice. We're going to go into the trip. I need to make this smaller so I don't see so many faces. Okay, so we're coming into the trip. You'll see that all of this information is here. You can see here's what our deposit was, what our remaining balance will be, all of the different pieces, what's happening. Notice down here, it's showing that it's put the deposit due is 400. Here's the date it's due. Here's what final payment is due, what day of that final payment is due. And so what I want to do at this point is I want to edit this invoice. I want to mark that this payment has been paid. And so I'm going to come in and edit the payment. And I'm going to say, I went into Disney. I put in the confirmation number, that the email, or not the email, sorry, the credit card information that came in as a payment. And I'm just going to mark that I have paid this now. Now notice what's happening here. It's turning this right here, this line from my invoice from unpaid to paid. I'm saying, yes, I'm doing this on March 7th. I'm confirming that. If you want to send them the receipt immediately, leave this checked. You can preview if you would like, just go ahead and mark it as paid. And that's really all you have to do. Once you mark it as paid, they've now sent the invoice back to your client saying that $400 has been paid. And we are now seeing down here, here's the remaining balance, and this is what we have left due. Here's our info, or this is the total. This is what I have left to be marked as paid when we get our final payment. Everything's going to be there. I typically go one step further than this though. I click next and I say save and review email because I want to check in with my client without having to necessarily send a text message. And so this is where I do your updated Disney World invoice. And then I'll change this and it says, this is saying my name, but of course it's not really. It would be to my husband or whoever. I've put together your updated invoice. I might add an extra thing here saying, we have about 3 weeks left until full payment is due. If I knew how to write. Left until full payment is due. You can put whatever you want in here. It's completely up to you. Feel free to send me a payment anytime. And then remember, it's going to get my signature, all of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and send that off. So now that's been sent. They've gotten an updated invoice. They've gotten communication from me saying, yes, we've definitely processed this payment. And then you're also going to send them the Disney receipt that comes to your inbox. Make sure you always are sending the one that does not include your commission, because you will get 2 versions of the receipt for the payment. One will be for your client and one will be for you. Okay. I'm going to pause for a minute. Any questions?
I have one. So they have to get a hold of you to make a payment, or can they just no?
They don't.
So they can just drop in a payment and it'll notify you.
Yes.
Okay.
So for that purpose, let me go and show you what I have on one of my other, I want a bigger screen is what I want. I'm going to go in and actually, let me just show you my Gmail real quick. I hope if I open this, did that keep you in Travel Joy, or are you guys seeing my screen still?
We're seeing your Google screen.
Okay. So when I come into Gmail, I'll show you what it looks like. I definitely won't record their payment information, but I can show you the basics of it. So she sent me a payment today. That was so nice of her to do that. She sent it right here. And this is the email that came to me that said, this is actually a group of friends who are coming together. So Annalisa Martinez is the owner of the reservation, but she just forwarded the invoice that I created to her friend because it's a group of 4, like 20 somethings going to Disney together. She forwarded the invoice and just said, make a payment towards your amount whenever you want to do it. And so this payment is coming from Kimberly Sanchez, who is not Annalisa, but she can still make a payment towards the invoice, which is beautiful. There's no having to be playing around with somebody sending credit card information. Where is it going? It's all in one place for me. They're the ones handling who's paying each piece. So keeping that in mind. When you get the invoice, I can click in here and see what it's doing. It's going to take me over to my Travel Joy. I'm still not going to see their payment information, so we're okay here. So see, they're going to Disneyland. So Disneyland's at the top of their invoice. We're going to come down and you can see they've paid a partial payment. So it was set up as a deposit and their final payment, but then they were making partial payments towards that at different times. They actually don't have to pay until August 15th, but they've sent different amounts along the way. And today she just sent in, she wants me to pay $100. So I need to come in, process this payment, and then get it marked as paid by going in and saying, edit, mark as paid, and then I'll send that back to them. This is a crazy client. She wanted to test the theory that her friend could send me a payment. So she had her friend send me a $1 payment. Oh, the people are funny. People are funny. And then once it gets paid in full, then it gets marked as full. You will get your travel documents from Disney, and then that's what you'll send them as their final pieces. That's really the process that I go through with Travel Joy. I put this invoice in place for everyone except for two situations. Can you ever think where this would can anybody think of a time where invoicing like this would not make sense? Okay, that's okay. The first place would be if you're doing something that everybody's paying for something up front. You do not have to, let's say they're traveling next weekend, right? You have to pay in full at that point. So setting it up as a deposit and all of that piece is extra work, and you can't even do it anyway. So what you would do in that case is rather than doing deposit and I'm going to close this out. Instead of doing it as deposit and payment, you would just do it as pay in full when you're creating the initial invoice. You can still set it up as an invoice so that they can still see all of the items that are included and all of that. It's still very helpful, but everything has to be paid in full. So that's one different time that you could do it. The second reason you would do that is if they're using Disney gift cards. I still invoice my Disney gift card clients, but you cannot collect Disney gift cards through that invoice method. The only way to get Disney gift card payments in a secure means, there are people who will be crazy and just want to send you a text message. Like, let me just take a picture of this Disney gift card and I'm going to send it to you. Encourage them to not do that because they should never be sending gift cards are basically cash. And especially if they're sending it through like iMessage or something like that, those are not necessarily encrypted. And so you don't want them to be processing anything that is payment related through means other than something that is secure and it's not opening you up for liability. So with that in mind, has anybody used the form for collecting gift cards through TravelJoy? Okay. So back on your dashboard, if you go into one of your contacts, oh, it was right there. You can actually do it from that page right there. I'm going to go back. Back on your dashboard, there is these forms, and Smart Moms created forms for us. So there's nothing we have to do for it. So you can just click send a form, and I want to send it for an existing trip. I want to send it to my husband, and I'm going to create this. And then you can choose what form. Are you getting all of my emails that are saying I booked a Disney vacation? My husband just walked in. You can send any of these forms, and these may have been the way that you were asking for credit card authorization before. You might have just been sending a credit card authorization form for a single payment, which you can do that. You can still do that. But there's this Disney gift card payment form where you can just send them the form. They can send you your Disney gift card. The reason you can't collect Disney gift card payments through the invoice is, remember I told you that the invoice is checking the credit card information number against the email address, against the address, zip code, against the CVC number or whatever that number on the back of your card is. Disney gift cards don't have that. And so they can't validify that payment method. And so you need to send them this Disney gift card payment form, send that to them. It's not going to deduct automatically, but it will still be attached to this trip. And so when it comes back saying that they have sent you their payment information, you'll go through the exact same process. You'll go into their feed, which if I go into my individual trip, let me go back to my home. Here's the trip that I created. When you go into the trip, you have a feed just like in HubSpot where you can see what things have happened, right? I sent this updated invoice. This was my original invoice. You'll have a history of it. And typically when there's an attached payment information, there'll be a second box right underneath here that will say payment information, and it only opens it for about 60 seconds. And if you don't click to keep it open, then it closes it and you have to open it again because it's keeping the information very private. It will always hide that information. It will typically make you put in your password information or your password to open that payment information as well. So it's very, very secure, great way to handle that, and a really, really great way for your clients to always feel like they're in the know. Something that I think often happens when we're doing our client or our travel agent piece is they feel like they lose track of being able to make payments and see how much is due, and that's something that a lot of people like to have the transparency and be able to see that at any given time, so they can always come back to any of their invoice emails and look at their most recent invoice to see exactly when payments were made, how much payments were applied, and what's left, when is their payment due, all of those pieces. So this can manage that for you and not feel like you have to be constantly going back into DTA or back into HubSpot to try to find that information. Any questions about that? I think there's one thing in the chat. Oh, Sam's phone was dying. No worries. Okay. Anything else, Travel Joy or otherwise, that you want to talk about?
Sorry, this just reminded me with Travel Joy. So if I create this invoice process instead of what I have been doing, they can, unprovoked from us, they can go back to their invoice email and just submit payment info to you.
Yes. So that
without you saying
showing
anything
you
to them. Okay.
the client that sent me that $100 payment today, I haven't talked to her for probably 2 months since the last time she sent payment. And she just went to the invoice, sent me $100 payment. I'll go make that payment tonight, send it back to her. So we're in communication, but we're not actually talking. We're just processing the payment, moving her along. Because really, remember, the clients think that they're talking to you on a regular, like you're talking to them on a regular basis, because hopefully you're putting them on the after booking sequence. And so they're hearing from you on a regular basis in their email, or possibly through text messages if you happen to be on the messaging service. And so you don't have to feel like you're not talking to them, because they are getting communication from you. It's just a matter of, at that point, our communication is typically through email or through text message in that manner. And it's automatic.
Okay. This is so much better than what I've been doing. I love it.
It really is. And especially if you're getting to the point of having, when you get closer to having a client traveling every month, it just starts racking up. And I would really encourage you to consider investing in Travel Joy if you haven't yet, because when you get to the point of having clients, it really feels like the way that, like, it can feel very slow at first, but then it becomes more and more and more, because you're going to get referrals from people. You're giving them good service, so you're going to get referrals. That's just how it works. And when that happens, you're going to lose track of it. I can tell you honestly, I wish I had everybody and I knew everybody's name and I remembered all of their kids and all of that. But I'm to a point where somebody will send me something and I have to go back and read through text messages or emails because I don't remember even the conversation that we had at all. When you get to the point of being there, you want to already have the systems in place to have that feeling of, I don't know the information, but I know where to get the information, and not scrambling in the moment. Other questions? What about other things that are not HubSpot? Does anyone have anything not Travel Joy related? Are we feeling okay about HubSpot? Are we feeling okay about the 2025 packages opening? We can look at anything if anyone has anything they want to look at for DTA.
So was it that we can change the HubSpot or that we shouldn't change it? I heard like conflicting.
Back to your Gmail?
Yes.
It sounds like they're thinking that emails are coming better. They're getting a better receptive rate if they're coming from your Gmail than your Smart Mom's travel email address.
Okay, because I had kept my Gmail because I missed we're changing back or whatever, and I've had no issues. So I'm like, Are we having issues? Or are we missing? What am I doing?
I don't know that you're
staying
gonna
or
have.
going?
I don't know that you're gonna have major issues either way. Ultimately, both email addresses come to the same inbox, and so
Right.
that shouldn't be a big issue. Other than if you're doing email marketing, that's where the biggest issue is coming. If you're sending things out, marketing emails from HubSpot, some of them that have been coming from the Smart Moms Travel Agent web or email address have been getting marked as spam, and so that's part of why they're wanting to change that process.
Okay.
Good question.
So if I'm there, just stay.
Yeah, if you're still at your Gmail, you can just stay there.
What if we switched? I switched back from Gmail to my Smart Moms.
To your Smart Moms, I would
Can we
say,
switch back?
unless you're having any issues, I would just
Leave it.
I would probably just hang tight with where you're at. I'll follow up and see if there's any updates that we have a firm thing happening and put it into our HEB thread. But for now, just hang tight with where you are. Both emails are going to get to your inbox. You're not going to miss anything as long as you're not experiencing any issues. I think you're going to be fine for now, and we'll let you know if we hear anything different.
And then the ABS, can we change that too? I know that some were saying we could change it to where it doesn't sound just like it's coming from Disney World, you know, if we have other travel packages.
Are you meaning your ABS or are you meaning your type form?
I mean my type form, sorry.
Yes, you can update your type form. I updated my type form. Mine, I can actually even just show you. I'll put it in the HEB thread what mine looks like. And when you come into my form, it no longer says you're going to Disney World. I don't know if you can see my screen or not. You can't. It says you're taking your kids to Disney. I didn't want it to say Disney World. I wanted mine to say Disney because I want to focus primarily on Disney. However, you could say you're taking your kids on vacation, or you could say you're going on vacation, or whatever you want it to say. By all means, you can make it whatever you need for your personal business, because it is your business. This is your individual business. So you can go in and change that. Good. Other questions? I can show you.
This might be too long for tonight, but how do you change that to what you want it to say?
In HubSpot, you can come in and search for your form if you haven't already done this, and maybe we need to do a separate thing for it. But when you come into HubSpot, you can find your form and then you can just edit your form. So let me see if I can get in here. Where's my forms at? My stuff's hidden. Tell me if you're seeing it. Sequences. Nope, not sequences. Nope. There's two ways you can find it if we can find our form. I haven't changed a form in a long time. Where is our forms at? I'll make when I'm off of here and I don't have half of my screen hidden behind pictures, I'll come in and send you a update on it. I'm not going to walk through the whole process, but our type form or our landing page, am I overlooking it? Right there, landing page. Okay. Make sure you're never getting your own. So you're going to find your own Disney trip questionnaire and edit. And this is where I put, you're taking your kids to Disney. You could change this to whatever you want it to say. And then just click update. Okay, I would steer away from making major changes because they put a lot of time and energy in knowing what information you need associated with this, but that would be how you would do it. Good questions. If you don't have other questions, we are okay. I'm happy to end soon or end early, or if you want to just continue seeing some things that you could be using for your business. DTA has a lot of resources. Your mini site would be a great thing if you haven't already set that up to use as a resource. Also, simple things that are on DTA that some of you may know about and some of you may not know about. One thing that I overlooked for way too long is this reservation center. If you haven't been coming in, this reservation center will show you all of your reservations in one place, and you don't have to put in confirmation numbers to pull this up. So if you don't know about that, know that this is here. These marketing tools is a great place for you to come in and look for things that we can use to help build our market and get into there. If you haven't been dreaming about getting yourself to Disney on your benefits, this is a great place to see what commissions you make on different things with Disney, what benefits will be available if when you become eligible for your CLIA card. This is a great place to show you that you can get like what tickets you can get, what hotel discounts you can get, all of those things. DTA has a lot of resources that I think a lot of us overlook on a regular basis. Yeah, we can dig deep into DTA next time for sure. Any other questions anyone has? Okay, then I'm gonna send you back 10 minutes of your night with your kids, and I hope that your Thursday has been a good one and that you have something fun planned or restful planned or something that's stress relieving for the weekend. And please let us know if you have any questions. You can reach out in the HEB chat or out to us directly.
Thank you, Becki.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks,
Have a good
Becki.
night.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good night.